Hello everyone, I am Inkros and welcome to today's character design analysis thing. So today we're going to be looking at the League of Legends project skin designs and basically analyzing them, looking at the colors, the shape language, the way that the characters fit into their world, all that kind of stuff. The project skin line is probably my favorite skin line. I really also like Star Guardian though, so it's kind of hard to pick between them. And there are a lot of like offshoot skins and other things that I really enjoy, but project is definitely top tier skin line in my opinion. So I really wanted to take a look at it and, just have a lot of fun analyzing character design and getting into all of that art goodness. So first of all, I wanted to say that usually League of Legends, Riot, they kind of have pillars for their different characters and different designs and things. Pillars meaning like they have different qualities that have to be had in the design. I don't know what exactly the pillars were for the project skin line, but I kind of came up with some of my own theories on what some of these pillars might be. Number 1, cybernetically enhanced human warriors. Number 2, dark gray armor, white hair, and a standout single color theme. Now you might be like, oh wait, what about Project Outsiders? I'm gonna get to that later. So then we have cyberpunk dystopia controlled by a megacorp, so like a general cyberpunk setting, as well as tampered memories. That's kind of a tampered memories, and I would say loss of humanity to technological advancement. So that's kind of a big part of some of the character stories, specifically Ashe and Pike and Project Yi. So we're going to get to that a little bit as well. We're kind of going to do a mix of analyzing bits of their lore with their design, as well as just this general shape language. And I'm going to go ahead and read out their little backstory blurb so we can kind of get an idea for what this character is and what they're going for with the design. Alright, so Project Vi. Street smart, brash, and always bluntly honest, Vi is a central detective working to keep law and order in the Neon City. Toughened from her days as a lower sector enforcer, Vi keeps the peace with a pair of Atlas gauntlets and a mean right hook. So she's the only one in the Project universe who's kind of a cop, but she doesn't work for like the Project Corporation. She literally works for like what I guess is the police force of the big cyberpunk city they all work in. So because of that, she's got it's kind of strange because it doesn't really like show in her design that well that she's like a cop. To me, this just kind of looks like a general project warrior. But part of the idea, I guess, is that, she is a project, but works on the police force, which might imply, like, corruption of the police, like they're being somewhat influenced and their project's warriors are being put into the police force in order to have the project company like have an influence over the police force. Could be something like that. But I think the only reason why she's a police officer is because that's in her original lore of her OG character. So going back to the pillars of the skin line as we were talking about, project is number 1, cybernetically enhanced human warriors, which obviously she is. Specifically, especially with a lot of these project skins, they try to show that these characters are cybernetically enhanced, but at the same time have human aspects to them. They're not androids. They're not robots. They are cyborgs. That's very important to the skin line. As such, you've got little bits of their humanity showing. You've got her lips, you've got her jawline, and all of them pretty much have a standard human shape. All of the project characters are human for a reason. That's just a big part of the aesthetic. It would be really hard to do something like Project Nami because it's almost too out there. The idea is a loss of humanity, and as such, you have to keep the project characters human. Hence why Nami is in the program line, and I'll talk about the program line maybe some other time. The program line is very much cold, robotic, no sense of humanity, which is not what Project is going for, so it's a different thing. Anyway, yeah, that's why they're only using humans and like assassin type characters for Project. You can see that bit of humanity in there. You can see humanity there. But you can also see right here, it looks like almost little pistons on her arms. That's a suggestion of she probably doesn't have her real arms anymore. She's got full-on cybernetics. She's wearing huge gauntlets even on top of her cybernetics. Obviously the eye is being drawn here and here. It's being drawn directly to, number one, her weapon, number two, her face. That's just a gameplay thing, and it's just a general art thing. You want to focus on what her major aspects are. Her major aspects are not her legs, hence why they're tiny in the picture. Her major aspects is, oh my god, she has huge gauntlets. That's obviously what she uses to fight, and she punches people pretty badly. So one of the other cores is the theme colors. She's got the dark gray armor. She's got the white hair. The white hair is another interesting touch, by the way, in terms of character design, because it's human to have hair, but the hair is also white. Almost all of them, again, we'll get to the outsiders, almost all of them have white hair. White hair can usually be a symbol of, aging, a symbol of being, wisdom, of being older, but I think in this case, the white is more of a symbol of a draining of color, a draining of personality. Because when they become a project cyborg, a part of the theme is losing humanity, and as such, there you go, white hair. I might be repeating a few points here. Forgive me. You'll also be hearing my birds a little bit. And her main theme is the orange holographic gauntlets. That's her main color. It's her main... The project characters have neutral colors all around them. You've got neutral color in the white of the hair, neutral color in the gray, neutral color in some of the blacks, right here. It draws attention to the eyes and to the weapon when you've got the holographic hands, holographic bits, and all of the holographic bits are in popping color, so it immediately takes your eye to them. Again, more about bringing in the eye. So yeah, Vi's original design already had these big gauntlets, so it immediately already shows that she gets things done with her hands. She's right in there. It's part of her personality. She's brash. She's blunt. That's her design. So I'll go ahead and I'll try to be a bit faster here. Let's move on to Master Yi. So Master Yi is interesting because he's he was the poster child of the first real project event, like the first big skin line release. Because before him, it was just Project Yasuo, and Yasuo was the proof of concept. Yasuo was the way for the Riot to kind of test out the idea. Sort of like how Star Guardian Lux was the first for the Star Guardians, and then once her proof of concept sold really well, then they were like, oh, I guess this is a great idea, we're going to make more of these skins, and so then you have the first Star Guardian team coming in. So Project Yasuo was that, and Project Yi was the poster child for the real meaty project update. As we're talking about the pillars, what I thought was interesting in some of his concept art, you can see he's got, more human aspects. He's got a chest underneath that armor. He's got a head with eyes underneath this helmet. And he's got like big robo legs, big chunky robo legs that are like in these triangle shapes. Because Master Yi's got a bit of a, triangle. You've got this top Dorito triangle. You've got this helmet triangle. You got these little bits here. And this is kind of a, triangle shape language helping to show idea of there being sort of a top heaviness here that gets balanced out by the heaviness in the feet. I don't know, just little ideas, little concepts here and there. But yeah, he's got humanity represented right here. But I do believe that on his skin, this part only shows up like when he dies, I think. I've never played Project E, but I'm pretty sure that it's only when he dies that you get to see what's underneath the armor. And then in-game, you can see neutral colors, and then accent colors in the orange. And the accent colors draw attention to his hands, to his sword, to where his head is. And then what's cool about the neck piece here is that this is a splash of color that draws attention to his face, but also breaks up his shape so that his head and neck don't blend in with his shoulders. Because if without this little white piece here, you might be seeing just like dark neck piece right here. And you see how that would kind of blend in too much and it would make it harder to see his head. So they put this neck piece here in order to help block things out. And Yi's little lore blurb is, one of the first concepts, Yi was held by Project for extensive experimentation and then finally freed by the genetic rebels. His psyche may still contain some glitches, but his experimental hyperlight alpha blade serves the resistance with its precision balance. So if you've seen the Project Overdrive cinematic, it shows here that he has kind of like weird memory glitches. Are these memories from his own past before he was Project? Are these memories someone else's, potentially? Are they his ancestors? We don't know for sure. It's part of the idea of Project is playing with the idea of memories, playing with the idea of humanity. So there's that whole concept with him, and I would really like to see more. I love the Project universe because I feel like we don't get enough Cyberpunk, and I know we're getting Cyberpunk 2077, but I still want more in different universes. So I feel like we need more Project lore. I want a whole Project book. I think that'd be great. And if you are interested in Project lore, I did read the Vi Vane Project Jin short story on my YouTube channel, so check that out if you want to know more Project lore short story. You don't have to read it all, you can just listen to me narrate it. Okay, now that we're done with Project Yi, let's go ahead and move on to Leona. Leona was also part of like the first wave of Project characters, and you can already see here, just like we were talking about before, accent color is yellow. The yellow helps stand out amid all of the gray neutral color tones. And as such, it makes her shield the biggest eye catcher of her character, as well as her sword, which is what you want to be looking at in game. You want to know if that shield is ready for her stun. Like if she's about to stun you, that shield will be like having a different glow to it. So that's very important for gameplay purposes. And so is her sword important for gameplay purposes, because if she's shooting out that sword, you want to see that neon yellow sword glow so you know that she's shooting at her sword and you need to get out of the way before she hooks onto you. And also the fact that the hair is white just lends to a nice color. Again, it's bright color that leads you to the head. So there's no white down here. The only white is up here, and it's because it helps lead you to her head. So, yeah, that's about it for Project Leona. Let me just say her lore. A heavy armor combatant, Leona has seen the truth behind the neon light of Project, and now stands with Ashe and the Genetic Rebellion. She carries a mounted ion charge shield, capable of blocking and stunning targets with its variable energy yield output. So, yeah, it's just Leona, but Project. She's got a big shield, she's got a big sword. That's what you need to know about her character. She's a tank. And you get some of these tanky aspects in how chunky her armor is. She's got chunky armor down here. She's got a big shield. She's a tank. That's for gameplay purposes. Alright, next up is... we're going to talk about Lucian. Alright. So, Lucian's lore is... Once a sentinel within the command line, Lucian has seen Project for what they truly are. His dual ion core lightcaster pistols now serve Genetic and the Human Rebellion, bringing down their technological oppressors with brutal efficiency. So, unlike some of the others, Lucian doesn't have as much of the neon color on him. He's more subdued with the way his color is handled. I think part of that might be because he also has a secondary color to him which is a bit rare, but the color, it's like a green, but it's very, very gray green, so it doesn't disrupt the idea of the project color theming as much. So it still almost feels like a neutral color, even though it's more of a green, blue, gray. So it works pretty well. And yeah, you've got more of the light colors up here. He's got a bunch of light colors on his arms so that it doesn't blend in with his legs. You've got the collar helping to break up the shapes. And then you've got the glowing guns, and they're big, big, big pistols. So they stand out. But yeah, a lot of the poppiness of Project Lucian comes from his VFX, and we're going to talk about VFX after we finish up with the characters. So the next one is Project Yasuo. I couldn't find some of these. I try to find like their concept art to do this stuff, but sometimes I can only really get their splashes. So, like I said, Project Yasuo was the proof of concept, and there's actually some interesting thing I want to talk about with this, because I found this article, How Project Champs Transcended Humanity, and it's all about like how a project as a concept came to be. So I'm going to read out a few bits of this article that really stood out to me. No great idea gets into League of Legends without being examined, challenged, and mutated by our collaborative process. When Marco Wendigo Silva, an artist from the Sao Paulo office, dreamed up Cyber Yi, he knew it would be tough to get through that creative gauntlet. Silva wanted to find heart for his idea, so he put together a team of concept artists and animators and created a 50-page presentation detailing how a legendary Yi skin could fit into an entire universe inspired by classic cyberpunk films. The first few rioters who saw the pitch sent it around to others, and it spread virally through the company. People started piling aboard Silva's cybernetic hype train. Still, there were obstacles that Silva hadn't considered. While the Cyber Yi concept was still being pitched, a team at Riot's Santa Monica office were independently working on a cybernetic theme skin called Project Yasuo. Our artists thought that Cyber Yi might complement the new Yasuo skin, but first they need to figure out the artistic direction for Project Yasuo, and for any other champions that might fit into that world. Cyber Yi would need to evolve. So, they talk about the fact that there were 2 other robot Yi skins at the time. And then they say, artists decided to keep project skins people-sized, though the champions have fused and augmented their bodies using some big, crazy technology. In order to become project, you have to surrender your humanity, says Lisa Sayaka Thorne, a visual designer. The technology takes over your soul. Project champs aren't just soulless husks, though. Little clues point to their human origin. Yasuo's leather glove, Leona's exposed jaw, Master Yi's Wuju sculpted washboard abs. These aren't robots. They're just seriously tricked out people. They talk about Battlecast a bit. To determine the shape language for project skins, we had to do more than differentiate the skins from Battlecast and Mecha. Paul Space Wombat Hoffner, the concept artist behind the original Project Yasuo skin, sees it as a combination of digital, think hardware fitted with chips and carbon casings, and ethereal, intangible effects. The way the particles dissolve feels magical, Hoffner says, but it's still tech. To dig deeper into this idea, the art team wrote a complete definition of what project means. So this is part of those pillars I was talking about. Project is the fusion of one's supernatural essence with the advanced weaponry and body augmentation. This linking of technology and energy allows extraordinary hosts to channel their essence into physical manifestations and, in rare cases, transcend the corporeal plane. Only subjects possessing extremely focused inner essence and exceptional physical attributes can unlock the true power of Project. Ultimately, Project is about transforming the mere human forms of champions using technology and the shape language the artists used to reflect that. When champions use their heightened project powers, it's through shapes and geometry that fit their unique characteristics, says Thorne. Fiora, for example, is graceful yet sharp. It looks as if she might sting if you bump into her. Lucian is defined by sleek, speedy-looking parallelograms, and his W bursts into a compass rose. Designers wanted those elements to peek through even after the champs fused their souls with technology to become Project. So, Project Fiora's pointy triangles became digitized, and Project Lucian's burst got brighter and burstier. So yeah, that's very interesting, and it's exactly what we were talking about, so I was so happy that I found that article. It's great little insight into the design of the characters. So that's all I really have to say about Project Yasuo. He's like base. He's like the base project design. Already some of the elements I talked about. They really like using this sort of scarf idea to help break up the shapes. And then of course his sword is glowing, white hair. There you have it. Baseline project skin. Has all of the pillars we were talking about, including, I think, a little bit of exposed flesh here to show his humanness. Now we get to Fiora. And Fiora lore is augmented for speed. Fiora uses her Zero Pulse sword to fight alongside Ashe and the other members of Genetic. The full-length energy blade allows for flawless attack precision and maximum repel strength, while the spatially controlled atomic tip coating is most suited for single-target combat. Fiora's design is so pretty. So again, her character is about sleek, it's about moving fast, it's about cutting through enemies, weaving around them. So of course, she does not have a lot of bits and bobs on her. She's got a very sleek design, very aerodynamic shape language. Her hair is slicked back as if she's moving fast through the air. She's got a pointed helmet for more sort of aerodynamism. And then she can open up her helmet right here, which shows more of her humanity. And yet she's got, at least in the concept art, I don't think this is on the actual model, she's got like a barcode up here. And then I love this. Even on the human aspects of the project characters, they still have these like lines here, like almost as if their skin has been pieced and then peeled open in order to put in augmentations underneath the skin. That really shows how much they've been altered. And how you have to wonder to yourself, and this is one of the good questions that these skins should be making you ask, is how much of them is really human? How much of their flesh is even left? You can tell here that this arm specifically is probably entirely robot, because especially of the way the joints are. And then this one, you don't know. Maybe she's still got a bit of an arm left in here, and this part is robot. Maybe it's just a glove, and she has an entire real arm. You don't know for sure. It's part of the mystery of Project. And then of course I think this bit is here to be a little bit of a flair, a little bit of a style. And I think she's got a similar shape on her default skin, so. And the shape of the sword itself is just beautiful. I love it. And as impractical as the high heels are, again, the shape looks really nice. It's got this really interesting rounded cylinder shape around her. She's got it right here, right here. She's got like, she's got circles here and here. The rounded cylinder shape is the joint on this arm. She's got a shape here, and then a circle shape here, and then the cylinder shape here. So she's got like this circle mixed with rounded cylinder shape all over her design, and it's just part of the shape language of her character. And they've also got this neat backing here. I love the way it kind of is like almost dragon armor backing that comes down. That looks awesome. Fiora's design is great. I love it. And of course, Zeronis, who did this concept, he also did the KDA skins. He's great at some of this stuff. Next up, let's do Ashe. Her like wave of projects characters was kind of the introduction of colors that weren't warm colors, because like the first wave of project characters, they each had their own theme color, but it was very much warm colors, warmish colors, oranges, reds, pinks. But with the second wave, they were like, well, we're kind of running out of colors here, so I guess we're gonna have to go into cool colors. And with that, we get to Ashe, who is blue as her theme color. And they use the blue extremely well because she's got hints of it on her weapon. And of course she's got a big weapon which takes up a lot of her silhouette, a lot of her silhouette. And a big part of her silhouette has also been her cape. So they focus the color on cape, weapon, and facial mask. And you also want some of the blue on the fingers too, because the hands are very important, being able to distinguish them, because they do have to do with animation when you're going to attack, that kind of stuff. I don't know if I'm explaining it properly. But something also in the way they used her colors here is they've got that same gray, blue, green we were seeing on Lucian, and they're using her shape. They're using that color to help break up the shapes. So you've got this shape right here, which is dark gray, in order to break up the shape from this lighter gray, which moves through here. And then you've got a darker gray again to break off the lower part of the leg from the thigh. And as such, it helps, again, distinguish parts of her body from one another, which is very important when you see her like this size on the screen. But because she's got her body breaking up, because she's got the colors breaking up her shape, it's easier to tell what part of her is what, and that is incredibly important in League of Legends skin design. And I talked about that in my Xayah and Rakan analysis. And of course, the white hair brings your eye to her face, as well as the fact that she's got a very pale face. And then when she's got her hood up, the blue draws your eye to her face. So yeah, and then she's got these little cool spikes. I just think they're neat. And her lore is, while on the front lines of a corporate war, Ashe witnessed the human cost of Project's ambition. Now the leader of the resistance group, Genetic, Ashe has set her sights on nothing less than the downfall of the most powerful corporations. So, while Master Yi is kind of the poster child of the first wave, Ashe was the poster child of the second wave. Project Ashe is also one of my favorite skins in the game. I love playing her. While Yi was sort of recruited into the Genetic uprising in the video, the cinematic, Ashe is the one who actually leads that uprising. And so it was like Fiora and Lucian that was sort of rescuing Yi and then bringing him to Ashe, I assume. That's what the story would be leading to. And now we've got, this is like her model. So you see even more here how the colors work with each other, though it doesn't show the cape here. That's more of a VFX thing. Next up should be Echo. Echo, there we go. So Echo's another one who is part of the wave 2, and he also uses cool colors because Echo and green go hand in hand, because that's Echo's kind of already his theme color in his original base skin. So it was, though I believe in his base skin it's more of a blue-green, and yeah, I think it's more of a blue-green in his base skin, maybe more blue than green, but in this one it's definitely green, very green. So it works well with his character. And Echo's always kind of had this shape language of baggy pants. He's got like big chunky hands. No, they kind of have to exaggerate some of these proportions, because when you're looking at a character from a top-down perspective, some things can look off, so you need to adjust some things. Also, because Echo is supposed to be a younger character, he does kind of have more slightly more childish proportions compared to some of the other characters, because he's supposed to be a teenager. So you got chunky hands. You got the big hair is also a good thing to help distinguish stuff when you're in game and they're really tiny. And he's got this like massive, it's a clock tower hand in his original skin, but here it looks like it was made to be a weapon. And that's a big part of his silhouette, as well as his time travel backpack thing. Echo's backstory is a hacker prodigy picked up from the lower sectors by Ashe. It didn't take much to convince Echo to help her take down Project. Using a powerful key decryptor and a mind tuned for disruption, Echo can always find a way into the code. So this boy is our hacker. Perfect. Oh, and I love how these shoes here, because in the original he's got like almost sneakers. They kind of made cybernetic sneakers, so he's got like a screw here and then metal shoes. It's great. I don't know. It's great. That goes awesome. I wish I don't play him, but I love him like lore wise. Next up is Zed, and Zed is part of the actual. He's part of a different set in the lore. He was part of the first wave of characters, but in the lore he is against the genetic team. He's part of the Project Corporation team, so he's actively seeking out the Project rebels and like either eliminating them or trying to bring them back. I think he's just trying to straight up kill them for betraying Project. So rising from the command line, Zed is a leader within Project's counter-espionage units. He seeks out the genetic rebels with split high-frequency blades and molecular solid smoke projectors, favoring close proximity and multiple-angle target laceration. Great. Dude likes to cut things, and that is to slice and cut things. And that is very easy to see with his character design, because he's got pointy things everywhere. You got pointy, big weapons all over the place. On his back, you always are seeing these just giant shurikens, big pointy things. He's a pointy boy. You've got a little bit of those, that shape we're talking about on Fiora, like the circular, screws, little like rivets things. On his character design here, you can see that the sort of carbon fiber, like fibrous material that his arms are made out of follows the shape of his muscles. So it almost looks like he's got like synthetic exo muscles, which is neat. It's just a neat little thing. Again, Project is a big fan of doing these collars, and it is another grayish blue, though a little less green than the others, because the blue like complements the red a bit more. So again, it's another like secondary color, but it almost feels like it's a like a neutral color, because the red is so bright in comparison and it's so muted. And that's Project Zed. Next up is the other one who is working for the Project Corporation, Project Katarina. So, Project Katarina is once an ambitious lieutenant in the Genetic Rebellion. Katarina returned to the command line after confrontation with Ashe herself. Her hyper-edge daggers now serve Project once more, but those rebels who know her still hold out hope that she fights for them on the inside. Ooh, so she used to be part of the rebels, but now she's back on Project side. Interesting, I wonder why. We should get more lore for this, methinks. So Project Katarina I love her design, it's great. She's got again, the Project signature collar thing, except this time it flares out into an actual like vest. So that's a little unique. She's got these straps that hold on her daggers. She's got one arm that's lighter than the other. That one's more of a pink, so it's almost like the pink from the collar travels down this arm, while the lighter on this jacket kind of travels down here. Just a nice asymmetry. And then her white hair and her bright pink mask really draw the eyes to her face. And her face has also got these shapes that make her look robotic. Again, following along with the Project design pillars. So we don't have to spend a lot of time on some of these, but then we get to Project Akali and some of the latest releases. And when some of this came out, people were like, what is going on? This is completely different from some of the Project pillars beforehand. It doesn't fit with any of the color standards that we were used to seeing with some of the other characters. Why is that? The reason is, according to Rioters posts, these characters are part of a new faction within the world of Project. They're neither with Project nor are they with the Genetic Rebels. These are outsiders, and they're basically Project. They're like the Project characters who were like banished outside the city walls, where it's like death and destruction. I don't know. Let me read this. Her lore is: a cutting-edge Project subject who somehow escaped the city's boundaries, Akali brings dire warnings of an untested superweapon to those living in the wasteland beyond. With time running out and no other options, these outcasts join her in an attempt to take the mega corporation down, suspicious that their newfound ally might in fact be a double agent. So she's almost like I think she's like a prototype, almost. Because that's the only way I can explain some of this. Remember our pillars about white hair, dark armor, and one singular hologram color? She breaks a lot of these rules. You only see the dark armor like here, and the rest of it is this like Avengers Endgame looking time travel armor. And then she's got like 3 bright colors. She's got red, she's got the blue ponytail, and she's got the orange hologram. And personally, I don't like this at all. It just feels too messy with the colors. I understand why, lore-wise, because I guess she's supposed to be like a prototype, or maybe part of it is that because she lived outside the walls, she had to scrape for like spare parts to fix herself, and as such had to get like different pieces of armor. But she doesn't necessarily look scraped together either. She still looks very polished and new. So I don't know. In my opinion, I really don't like the color scheme, but I do like the shape language. I think her helmet looks really awesome. I think I especially love these joints right here. That's a great sign of not being quite human. You've got almost the cybernetic joints. Her legs might not even be her own anymore. They might be cybernetic legs. That's what it seems to suggest. Maybe the cybernetic legs are being like almost strapped on to her physical legs. Not that the cybernetic legs aren't physical, but you know what I mean. Like, she's not fully integrated and her cybernetic legs need to be strapped on. That's cool. That's interesting. Some of these things you don't really notice until you like start really looking at some of the character models. But yeah, in my opinion, I think her color scheme is way too messy. I think some people have like edited her ponytail to be red. Let me see if I can do something like that real quick. And then color, something like that. Yeah. Let's see if we can. Again, this is extremely rough. I'm not even like. But you see what I mean? It feels a little cleaner. It feels a little cleaner. If we see, I don't know. It's just I'm not personally a fan of it. I can kind of understand why they did it, but I think it looks better with very simple color scheme. Alright, so that's Akali. And then we're going to move on to Project Irelia, who I think was the best out of the third wave project skins. She looks amazing. Look at this girl. This is awesome design. Project Irelia is beautiful. She has got this wonderful hood cape combo where the interior of the hood is like lit up. Wait, sorry. She's not third wave, she's fourth wave, I believe. Because the third wave was Project Hunters, which we're going to get to, by the way. That's going to be later on. This is the fourth wave project, not counting Yasuo. Okay. Whew, this is a long video, guys. There's a lot of skins. This is like one of the biggest skin lines. She's got this 3-piece cape combo that is in place of the original's hair, which is awesome. So instead of locks of hair, they just have 3-piece cape to simulate the hair. And using the, you know, animation rig off of the previous Irelia, they can use what used to be the bones for her hair strands for her cape. I don't know if they actually like completely did that. They probably still adjusted some things here and there, but that's still cool. That's still sick. They do have a secondary color here, which is orange, that helps separate her hands from the rest of the thing, so that's cool. It's like a secondary color, but it doesn't interfere too much with the other colors like it does on Project Akali. Apparently she's also got like a little black haircut in the back. That's interesting. It sort of clashes with the white hair of the project, but that, to me, that doesn't matter because this hood already kind of serves as the white hair symbolism, and you barely even see the black hair anyway. If this hair was white down here, it would clash with the hood out here, and it would just be too much white. So I can see why they made it black. But yeah, the cleverness of the hood instead of her hair, the way these shoulder pads have like this two-tone color, it's just really neat. I just like it. I just think it's neat. And of course, her weapon is very recognizable. She's got the fidget spinner shape. Irelia, looking good, girl. You're the best out of the newest skins. Actually, let me tell you her lore real quick. A project cast-off who found sanctuary in the lawless wastes, Irelia has led other outcasts like her as they attempt to survive corporate assassins, murderous old-world technology, and widespread ecological collapse. Knowing Warwick could destroy everything she holds dear, she joins the attack on the city to end Project once and for all. So she's, I guess she's the leader of the outcasts, but I thought it was Pike. I don't know. Some of this stuff is a little unclear. But she was left in the wasteland, and she doesn't look all scratched together either. She looks beautiful, like she's brand new. So why does Akali look like that? Why does Akali have all these weird colors when Irelia is just so sleek and pretty? I don't know, guys. I wasn't there at the pitch meeting, okay? Alright, next is Project Jinx. And I want to bring your attention to what she looks like without the mask. Because this is beautiful, but also horrendous. Maybe it's because she lacks eyelash. I don't know. Let's actually try to give her some eyebrows and see if that fixes it at all. A part of it is that her hairline is so close to her eyes because you're not supposed to see this face at all. The hairline is so close because it has to blend in with the mask. Anyway, Project Jinx got a lot of hate when it first came out. Well, it was like first announced. Now I, as a resident Jinx main, did not hate it. And in fact, I quite like it, but I do have issues with it. I do think there was some missed potential because people were really expecting like a full-on Project Jinx skin that goes in line with the pillars of all the other ones. You know, white hair, like very cybernetic looking body. And to a lot of people, they thought that Jinx looked too human here. And let's explore why that is. Why people thought she looked too human. Part of it was that she has an exposed tum-tum, but so did Project Irelia, so why didn't people seem to mind when it came to Project Irelia? Well, for Project Irelia, she had for one thing, her arms were also completely covered, and you couldn't tell for sure if her arms were cybernetic or not. The fact that her belly's exposed is partly to break up her silhouette here, so you can easily tell where her stomach is, and part of it is she's got these lines here that we were talking about earlier on the faces of some of the characters. And these lines explicitly tell the mind something is not completely human here. Now, Jinx has these, but they're extremely faint. You can just barely see them here. And especially when you're in-game looking down on her model, you can't see that. But yeah, she actually does have some of these, but I feel like they really needed to be more emphasized. It was just not emphasized enough to show that she's got some robot bits inside her. Blech. And beyond that, you don't really, there's none of those rivets we were talking about in some of the other designs. There's no rivets here to indicate that these are cybernetic legs. In fact, it almost just completely looks like she's just wearing armor with pants. This just looks like armor on top of skinny jeans. The only thing that really looks project about her is her arms, which again, they do look kind of strange because unlike every other character in project, they are like completely exposed and they look very, you know, shrimpy, which makes sense because this is Jinx. She's very she's got my body type basically. She's extremely shrimpy. So part of it was just to keep with Jinx's shape language. But at least her arms do have more of these robotic lines to them. And this one in particular is freaking glowing. You can tell that this is some kind of cybernetics here. But because it's so smooth and it doesn't feel as robotic as some of the others that were a little more chunky and a little more chunky with their designs. Also, a lot of people had issues with her helmet and that it looked very strange and that it covered up her eyes. Because people especially feel like Jinx, again as a resident Jinx main, that her eyes convey a lot about her character because she's freaking insane. This girl is insane, and when you see those insane eyes on the character, I mean, that's a big part of her design. So the fact that her eyes were covered up was a big turnoff for a lot of Jinx mains. Oh man, look at how skinny she is. She really is my body type. She's a shrimp. So that's what a lot of people had problems with Jinx. So why does she look like this? According to Riot, it was part of her lore. Here's her lore. Jinx volunteered for Project Conversion, never expecting that a critical power failure would scramble her memory core, leaving her a psychopath driven by the manic voices in her head. Seemingly obsessed with destruction for its own sake, she has begun to show signs of something far more sinister than the memory fragmentation, the cold, calculating influence of program. So she's like a straight up, almost Borderlands-ish outcast. So she's had to scrape by in the wasteland, and because of that, she has to show signs of being more rebellious and kind of messed up compared to the other project characters. Something is extremely wrong with her compared to some of the other characters. So they tried to show this by giving her even more of a punkish hairstyle, but I do think this hairstyle and the mask look too much like Rakan. See, Jinx's hairstyle is supposed to be more like, let me get a better contrast here. It's supposed to be more like this, where she's got these bangs that go over, and then the rest of her hair kind of is down, and then goes into her braids. But it feels like Riot has constantly, like with each skin they've given her, has constantly given her way more hair up here, like every single time, like straight up giving her mohawks at some time. What is going on with her hair here? This is crazy. It's not terrible, like, it's not bad, it's just very unexpected and kind of strange and not what people were expecting. And the fact that she's got these like earpieces here and this like beak piece covering her eyes and this spiky hair, it looks like Rakan. She straight up looks like Rakan. And a lot of people were like confused about that. They're like, the shape language seems wrong here. Why does she look like discount Rakan instead of Jinx? So I think this skin looks good in game, and I think her special effects are extremely good, and I enjoy playing as Project Jinx, and I understand the reasoning why they made her kind of look extremely rebellious and somewhat different from the other Project skins, but I do think it was a missed opportunity. People really wanted to see a more projects named Jinx, and if Irelia was a outcast and she was able to look so traditionally project, I think a lot of people would have liked it if Jinx looked more traditionally project, but still had some, like, maybe broken off pieces of armor, maybe slightly mismatched areas of armor where she had to replace parts of herself, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a good skin, it just doesn't feel like project. But I do respect the work that went into it. And I do think it's a fine design. It's just some things were strange about it. And I think the weapons actually look extremely good. Her weapons look awesome. And her... I'm going to move on. I'm sorry. I'm taking too long with some of these. Pike's lore is that, as an early project prototype, Pike's untested upgrades left him violently unstable. Too much so for his handlers, who junked him and threw his remains outside the walls of the city. Yet his cybernetic brain survived, rebuilding Pike with salvaged scrap parts from all around him, and now their fragmented, overlapping memories mix with his own as they scream out for revenge. So Pike's lore is extremely explicit about the fact that he's made of different pieces. And you can see that here with how he's got the Project Akali looking bright white arm with the red fingers, and then you've got a real arm right here. Again, showing the mix of humanity and robot, literally mirroring each other. He's got like these junkyard scrap cape and these baggy pants. He's got two different kinds of shoes. You can see, and there's even little stitches here. I'm stitching on this shoe. He's got a robot shoe here and a like real shoe there with actual like feet sticking out. So you've got this mirroring effect of real leg, fake leg, real arm, fake arm, which shows the design of project. So yeah, Pike's got a great design. I'm gonna move on a little fast from him, but that's the general idea with him. I think people like the skin. I know it's a legendary skin, and I think it works really well. And his voiceover is really good. It really shows the fragmented memory idea of the Pike lore skin. So next we're on to Warwick. Warwick is really interesting as a project skin. His lore is: plucked from the wastelands by a project research cell, Warwick has been irrevocably transformed into a horrifying new stage of transhuman evolution, a weaponized monster stripped of all remorse and programmed solely for violent suppression. Through the meddling of the ragtag outsiders, he escaped before being completed, and now rampages indiscriminately across the city. So Warwick is really interesting as a project character, because a lot of people were like, wait, aren't project characters supposed to be, human? Isn't that the whole idea? Isn't that what I was talking about earlier as to why they had to be human? Well, Warwick's lore in his original universe is that he was a human who was genetically modified and transformed into a werewolf-looking creature. So he actually translates really well to the project universe because, as you can see here, he's a human who has been genetically and cybernetically modified into a complete monster, just like in his original lore. So it's awesome. It works really well in the project universe, especially because he's almost a new kind of project that is way more deformed than the other project characters. He's like the next step in completely removing the humanity from these test subjects. It's horrifying. It adds a existential horror to the project universe. So yeah, the fact that you can still see his face and his recall, but even then his face got these like teeth spikes on it, and he's looking like Lord Grey. He's looking like Greymane from Warcraft here with this these sideburns and these like glowing eyes. The way these pipes like connected to his head. He's got these twisted animal legs that are probably entirely cybernetic, and these in the muscles here, like we were talking on with Zed, how they're like fake muscles. How did I describe it before? But what's great about the fact that they put him into Project is that you can now use the aesthetic design of the glowing holograms in order to bring attention to the most important parts of his character design. His claws, his teeth, his ears, and his tail. Those are the most recognizable parts of Warwick, and as such, because he's a Project skin, they can use these colors to their full advantage and have you looking and have your eyes drawn where they should be. There's also a really nice triangle shape here, and they use these triangle shapes all over his design. Of course, on his claws. He's a pointy guy. Just like I said, he's just a really pointy guy, and he really likes to bite and stab people. It's perfect. That's Project Warwick. On to Project Jin. Jin was part of the third wave of Project skins. His lore is, after a botched surgery, Jin went from being a black market augment hacker to a notorious mechanized killer for hire. Still programmed with a taste for high clearance upgrades, the tech Jin takes from his victims has left them the tech Jin takes from his victims has left him with a severe personality fragmentation and a dark vision for the future of Project and humanity. So Jin is a vigilante character. He's not associated with anyone. He's just someone who's straight up extremely messed up, just like Jinx. But in this case, he is like, after reading his short story, which again I narrated, so go ahead. I'll put a link to that in the description if you want to hear his short story with Vayne and Vi. He's like barely even human anymore. Like he's not even It's been said that he might not even have any flesh in him whatsoever. He's almost like full robot at this point, which is really interesting. And he like takes project augmentations from other people. He like straight up kills civilians and others in order to get these upgrades. He's like obsessed with upgrading himself to be the most perfect being he can be. And just like with Pike, he has this weird thing where the memories of some of the augmentations he puts on himself like mix with his own, so he gets weird memory mixes, and there's just so much interesting story potential here. And especially with Pike's voice lines have a lot to do with that. It's great. And Jin, as a vigilante, does have some differences from the normal project stuff. He does have what we've been talking about with these rivets, and I love these feet. So cool. They're really mechanized. Like there's no way those are real feet, like human feet. It's perfect. And these hands are like super mechanized too. You can tell this guy is way more robotic than any of the other characters. He's almost full robot. It's great. Great design. And he's got this cool jacket with the little fur tufts on it. There's no skin on him whatsoever, because there probably isn't anyway. And he's got a full robot mask that literally will like pop off and reveal straight up robot stuff. It's awesome. Jin's character design here really reflects what his lore is. A+ character design. On to Project Vayne. Project Vayne is one of the best-selling skins of all time. And there's a reason for that. It's a really good skin. Her lore is, augmented with classified tech, Vayne was once a member of Project's counter-espionage unit. After she was betrayed by the corporations she served, she now stalks the shadows as a vigilante, searching for ways to break Project and the technology that haunts her soul. So, Vayne's humanity is shown through her mask. The only issue is that her mask is a mask. I'm sorry, where was I going with this? Like, she's covering herself up. I guess you'd have the part of her short story kind of goes into, she's feeling pretty insecure. She is having a lot of issues right now because all of her team died. But I'm sorry, there's not much I can say. I'm trying to express this. Vayne's design is just so good. I'm sorry, this splash art, can I even like describe how good this splash art is? The way like the movement of the leg right here, and how this movement is like part of the arm and it curves down into the fingers and splays out. You've got this big arc right here, and then the arc from also goes into this arm, goes like that, and you've got the body swooping down and the legs swooping behind her. Once again, just like the project pillars, you see a bit of humanity in her face. She's got the dark armor, and then the purple aspects bring out the biggest parts of her character design, which are her cape, her weapon on the back, and her hand right here. Plus, they did this awesome thing by having her like her collar also have this glow to it, which also brings the eyes to her face. And she's also got a nice cool helmet that can go on and off, and that also is great. I don't know, there's not much I can say at this point. I've pretty much analyzed. I can't describe it. It's just good. She's just a good character design. That's all I can say. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about the VFX real quick. This is an image that was part of that article we read, how Fiora's VFX are elegant, flowing, soft, Zed, shadow, smoky, aggressive. I also love some of the shape language here with these like segmented parts that come down and swirl around each other. They're like very geometric while at the same time having a rhythm and smoothness to it. Like same here, it's geometric, but it still makes a curve. So it curves along. So it's cool. It's cool. Lucian, starlight, fast, elegant, shooting straight on. While Zed has circular movements and Fiora has the curving movements. Lucian has very straight movements. But it's also got this like hexagonal look to it. And then Yi also has cyclone, speed, strength. And he uses these like hexagonal shapes here. Leona is about strength, so her shapes are very square, rectangular, shapes of strength and reliability. Awesome. And so, with that said, I'm going to show you this, which shows some of the VFX of the characters in game. Also, the world of Project and how it matches with the characters themselves. How the world mirrors the characters and the characters mirror the world. You've got a bunch of neon colors. Project building right here has got this big neon sign, as well as the dark gray buildings. So you've almost got the same design as the characters. Dark gray metal with very bright one color neon signs. Yeah, it's great. So it looks like the characters fit in the world properly. You've got Warwick going out here, doing his thing, lighting up piece by piece. That's cool. And so when you get into game, you see how these VFX and like really enhance the character models. We were just looking at the character models alone, and even then they were cool. But when you add in this in-game VFX stuff, oh man, that looks cool. Like Jinx here with some of her little explosions and the way her VFX. I mean, just look at it. What can I really say? It looks great. And the way that there's that like impact crater when she hit the. And then there's Akali. I'm sorry, Akali's design just kind of disappoints me. And but it still looks cool. It might be disappointing, but it's still cool. Oh, and the way Warwick, when he's in like hunter beast mode, it turns all red. That's sick. Again, it's more using color to indicate things about what's going on. Oh, and the way that Pike has like this skeleton fish theme in his original skin, but they like keep it in his project skin, but make it geometrical fish snake skeletons. That's great. That's a good reuse of his theme. And then of course this is really cool. The big X that signals out Pike's ultimate, they changed the style of it to be geometrical project style. blah blah blah. That's awesome. Anyway, that's about it, guys. Long video, but I really wanted to go over all of project stuff. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you want to see more League of Legends and maybe potentially other character design analysis, let me know. Thank you for watching. I also have been doing my own League of Legends character design stuff. Let me go to my page real quick. So basically, I've been doing fan skins. So if you want to check out my fan skins and my fan League of Legends character designs, hop on over to my Twitter or my ArtStation page. I'll link them in the description. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, see you guys in the next video. Bye!